Everyone, Dennis Schroder, Dennis the Menace. He's been fantastic for the Lakers this year. Still young, only 29 years old, and has just been arguably the best pickup for value on the Lakers this year, right? I mean, he's a vet minimum, which I think a lot of people forget. Right, he's had some rough games, some rough moments, but for the most part, he's been very good, very solid. He's our best point of attack defender. He's came up big for the Lakers on multiple occasions, including the Minnesota Timberwolves game, hitting a huge shot and just going off. He scored 7 straight points at one point, keep us in the game, and he's been solid. You know, he's given us just under 13 points per game. Just under 5 assists. He's given us a steal, and he's given us about 3 rebounds per game. And he's been a model of consistency this year for the Lakers, and also played most of the games. He's played 66 games so far, started 50 of them. Got to remember, he missed a big stretch early on in the beginning of the season, but since that, he's righted the ship, right? Everyone talks about, Germany Dennis and his display, and he's shown that on multiple occasions. And he's going to be so massive for us in this upcoming playoff run. He's not only has the experience, but he has the experience with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. This is now his second stint with the Lakers, and he was really good even back then for the Lakers. It didn't end the way that we wanted it to, but a lot of that was Anthony Davis going down and also Dennis Schroder getting COVID. A lot of people forget that. If you look at his playoff numbers when he was with the Lakers and even the stretch leading into the playoffs, he wasn't the same player that he was earlier. Whatever ended up happening, whether it was respiratory or something, he was fantastic, gave them just under 16 points per game with 4 assists and 4 rebounds, but then he got sick, and after he got sick, he had a hard time kind of getting back into the flow of the game. And so I don't know if that was equated to it or what, but in the first stint with the Lakers, when he was on the court with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, they were a plus 15 and a half, which was the best in the league, I believe, or second best in the league at that time. Again, this was several years ago now, but nonetheless, he's been fantastic in this second stint. It is going to be massive in the Grizzlies series. He is, outside of Vanderbilt, realistically our best defender, and you can even argue our best defender for Ja Morant, even beyond Jared Vanderbilt, because his speed is going to be able to match that. He's relentless and can guard 95 feet and just keep and apply the pressure on Ja Morant the entire series. And don't get me wrong, I think very likely, if or at least Darvin Ham should throw several bodies at Ja Morant. It's a 7-game series. Wear him down. Throw Dennis at him for good stretches. Throw Jared Vanderbilt at him for stretches. Austin Reeves, Troy Brown. You got Shaq Harrison, right? Throw him at Ja Morant and just make it hard. Give him some hard fouls. Apply some pressure on him. Wear him down over a series. You can even throw LeBron on him in stretches if you need to. But my guess is that Dennis Schroder will be one of the main guys to guard Ja. And there's even an argument to start Dennis Schroder for that reason. But I think they'll continue to bring Schroder off the bench, which I'm fine with, and very likely it should go that way. Just have your starting 5. I still think you swap Reeves with Beasley, but even if you don't, even if you just keep it as is, not a problem. You throw Vanderbilt on Ja to start, and then once Vanderbilt comes out, or even when you do that first sort of a reserve swap, then Schroeder comes in and guards Ja Morant. But also with Schroeder and his ability to guard Ja down late in the stretch, and especially fourth quarter and the end of the game, you don't need to add Vanderbilt if you don't have to. Unless Vanderbilt is just having one of those games, like let's say he's just shooting well and has been physical and getting rebounds, or some other guy besides Ja is super hot and you need somebody to lock him down too, then yeah. But at the end of games, when you need not only defense, but you also need the offense to close out a game, you can go with Schroeder and Reeves or D'Lo, especially because the Grizzlies, they don't have luckily, a ton of size and they're going to be very reliant on smaller lineups. So you're probably going to get some lineups where you're going to be able to play Schroeder, D'Lo, and Reeves with LeBron and AD and impact the game that way, especially if they have Dylan Brooks, Baines, and Ja to close out games. Those are guys that aren't massive. They're not huge. They're not a bunch of 6'8", 6'9" guys. And especially guys like Brooks, they're not a huge offensive threat. So you can kind of mask guys and Baines. So you could throw Reeves on Baines and then throw D'Lo on Brooks. And now you have Dennis as that slasher that can get to the rim. Got Anthony Davis and LeBron, of course. You got Austin Reeves who can shoot the 3-ball and also defend. And then you got D'Lo who's been really good off the ball. So you're going to have several lineups that are going to work. And Schroeder, I think, is going to be a huge factor in a lot of it. And I expect Schroeder to play a lot of minutes. Now, we all kind of make the run and joke of, every time Schroeder rolls his ankle, he becomes Michael Jordan in his prime, right? Now, hopefully, he doesn't have to roll his ankle every game to be great. He's going to have his rough moments, don't get me wrong. He's not going to be a perfect player. He's going to turn the ball over at times. He's going to have those things. But you got to take the good with the bad with him because he's too valuable for this Lakers team and in these matchups. And even the next matchup, right? Whether it's Golden State or it's the Sacramento Kings, if you're playing Sacramento, De'Aaron Fox isn't too far off from Ja Morant. So you're still going to have that same matchup, and you can guard De'Aaron Fox the same way you guard Ja Morant, right? And have Schroeder and Vando on him. But also, with Sacramento, it's going to be harder. Like Harrison Barnes, they have Keegan Murray, they have Kevin Huerter, Malik Monk, multiple guys that can really shoot the ball, get to the basket, more so than the Memphis Grizzlies have. And with that, you're going to have Vanderbilt probably guarding other guys, right? You don't want to put D'Lo, you can't really mask D'Lo on a Keegan Murray, maybe on a Kevin Huerter, but even Malik Monk, right? You can't really mask him on Malik Monk because Malik loves to get to the basket too, and he's got the foot speed and the quickness. So if you play Sacramento, Dennis is going to be key and important in that matchup. The Warriors, right? They got Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, you got Klay Thompson, Steph Curry. You can throw Dennis on Steph, and then have Reeves on Klay, and then Vando on Wiggins, and then have LeBron on Draymond, and then AD on Looney, and you match up beautifully. So there may be some matchups to where you may want to even start Dennis Schroeder. And even this matchup, it may get to a point where it's okay, well, let's start Schroeder over D'Lo. That could be a possibility, or start Schroeder over Reeves. Again, very real possibility. But regardless, Dennis Schroeder just also gives you a different look, right? So our matchups against the Warriors, Schroeder and D'Lo together on the court were killing them because you have two very different pace type guys. Dennis Schroeder is 100 miles an hour constantly, right? Dennis Schroeder is closer to Russ, where D'Lo is closer to a James Harden. Slow, methodical, almost moving in slow motion, where Schroeder's just boom, 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 and gives you the fast break and all that stuff. So Schroeder's going to be key. His experience, his ability to not be afraid of the moment, his ability to hit shots and get to the rim and draw fouls and contact. That's another thing that's huge, right? Triple J loves to foul. I believe he leads the league in fouls. So he's a guy that he's a big question mark. He's going to have to guard Anthony Davis. And if I'm the Lakers, I'm driving it in on Anthony Davis, but also guys like Reeves, like Schroeder, even D'Lo. Put Triple J in a position to where he has to be a help defender and get him in early foul trouble. That's the biggest problem with the Memphis Grizzlies. And they don't have Steven Adams and Brandon Clark to back up as a center. So what are they going to do? They're going to put Tillman in at the 5. If that's the case, then great, because he cannot defend anywhere close. He's not a very great defender, period. So that just opens up so much more. So if you can get put pressure on Memphis constantly and get their defensive shot blocker out the game early. That also just opens it up so much more for Dennis Schroder, who he can get to the rim and apply pressure. And Ja isn't this like all-world defender either. So Schroeder, he's going to have that matchup, and it's going to be challenging for Ja Morant. And then if Ja has to go from Schroeder to D'Lo, I mean, it's the change of pace that is a big factor. It's something that really kind of makes things difficult, because you're going from like, okay, I got to go 100 miles an hour with this guy and I got to keep up and run with this guy, to like all of a sudden you have a guy that's changing direction constantly and moving slow, and you're like, you're trying to time. It's rhythm and timing. That's what basketball is. And when you can give teams different looks at different rhythms and timings, it's hard for teams to make that adjustment constantly when you can keep running different sets. So Dennis Schroder is going to be a huge piece and component in that. His ability to play make at times, although he does get sort of tunnel vision, right? Like that's probably one of the biggest knocks on him. But you take the bad with the good, like I mentioned earlier. He's well outperformed his contract. And he's a guy that I hope, and I'm sure most of you hope, that we can keep him around even next season. We'd have our taxpayer mid-level and our biannual. Those are both things that we could use to maybe keep Schroeder, and I would love to keep Schroeder. I think Schroeder in that 6-man role is perfect. I think he's arguably one of, if not the best 6 men in the league, and from a point guard position, right? There's guys that can score more and do other things more, but from just a point guard position, he's one of the best backup, if not the best backup in the entire league. And his ability to just give you multiple things on both sides of the ball is just very, very valuable. His ability to get hot and shoot at times. He can be an inconsistent shooter, though. Not from the mid-range. He's actually pretty good in the mid-range, and that's going to be valuable, right? Mid-range really opens up, especially come playoffs, because teams really close out hard on the three-point shot because they don't want teams to just shoot the lights out, and then they really kind of pack and try to control the interior. So that leaves that like 15-foot space really just wide open. And Dennis is a guy that likes that shot. He's a guy that you see it all the time. He'll kind of just like speed up, blow past his guy, slow down, and then pull up. Or, you'll see guys think that he's going to the rim and he'll just stop on a dime, pull up. So to have him be a guy that can operate in that mid-range, knock down the floater, knock down the little elbow shot, all those things is just, again, very valuable and is going to open up a lot. And the Lakers have a lot of guys like that, right? You have D'Angelo Russell, you have Austin Reeves, you have Anthony Davis, LeBron James, just to name a few, right? Malik Beasley can even go and do that. Rui Hachimura. There's an abundance of guys that can just really operate in that mid-range. That's why you usually see the teams that advance deep into the playoffs are usually the teams that have multiple guys that can do that. Think of, the Phoenix Suns, Boston Celtics, Milwaukee Bucks, Golden State Warriors. Like, these are the teams that you almost always see in the second, third round in the NBA Finals, because yes, they can shoot the three ball. Yes, they can score in the interior, but they all can operate and score in the mid-range. So you see the mid-range numbers really spike up. So when you have multiple guys, several guys, not just one, but like 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that can do that, you're usually going to have success. Dennis Schroeder is able to do that. Dennis Schroeder is a guy that can score at all 3 levels. He's not super effective at all 3 levels, right? The 3 ball is really with him. It's either there or it's not that game. You see a lot of games where he either can't hit a 3 to save his life, and he's like 0 of 7 or 0 of 4 or 1 of 4, or he has games like in the Minnesota game where he's 3 of 4 and he's hitting clutch shots and he's having big moments. But regardless, whatever the outcome is, he's very valuable. Even just his defense alone is valuable, but also to have a guy that can show up, that isn't afraid of the moment, that can close out at times, right? While teams like Memphis, they're gonna be, especially late in game and tight games, they're going to do everything they can to double and pin down hard Anthony Davis, LeBron James. So that opens it up for other guys to get going and to close out games. And to have a guy like Dennis Schroder that can do that, and we've seen him do that on numerous occasions this season, and just completely take over and win games. I mean, we're not talking just 1 or 2, 3 games. I mean, I'm talking like a large sample size. We've had probably, off the top of my head, probably 10 plus games where Dennis Schroder was huge in the fourth quarter and down the stretch, just getting to the foul line or knocking down a big three or hitting a mid-range shot or just getting to the rim or setting another guy up. That's why Darvin Ham loves Dennis Schroder. Like, so many people I see will criticize and kind of be on Ham for like, why do you play Schroder so much? Schroder is like that guy that Ham is in love with. But it's because 1, Dennis Schroder is a veteran. 2, he's our best point of attack defender by far. He really is. And it's just, he's just undersized. That's the problem. Like, if Dennis Schroder was like 6'8", he might be the best defender in the league because he's just relentless and he's physical and he's tough and he's hard-nosed and he just keeps going at it. Those are all the things, and he's not afraid of the moment. He can close out and all that. So you see a lot of times, like, people are really high or low on Dennis. Dennis will have a great game. Minnesota right now, everyone's like, Dennis Schroder is, Michael Jordan reincarnated. He's in the flesh. He's the best, and people are super high right now on Dennis Schroder. Everyone's obsessed with Dennis Schroder right now and want him to start or close out games and this, that, and the other. And then if he has a bad game, everyone's like, Dennis Schroder sucks. Why does Darvin Ham love him? Stop playing Dennis Schroder, blah, blah, blah. But it's because even when he's having bad games, he still impacts the game in multiple ways. He still is the guy that's diving for the ball. He's still the guy that's making the hard play, that's taking the charge, that's playing, relentless defense at all 95 feet. Like, all of those things are very important, especially come the playoffs. He's going to be very valuable this playoff series. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think of Dennis Schroder? You excited for him or not? However you feel, let me know down in the comments below.